Alright, and welcome back to the Shove It Show. This girl is never talked about, so I want you to tell the Hawk if you remember her, because I sure didn't. It's Ring of the Hawk Season 6, the show where we watch back a wrestler's short run with a company, and at the end we shove them a final grade to see if they can do the JOB to the HAWK. And of course, if you know a wrestler who can do the JOB to the HAWK, shove their name down in the comments, Jack! Alright, it's Cherry. Did she make the Hawk merry? Cherry debuts on SmackDown alongside her tag team Deuce and Domino. I always called them Deuce and Domino as a kid. Not a knock on Sim Snooker, it was just funny in my adolescent brain. Not a lot has changed really. They were all from the 1950s and they were moron greasers. Cherry would often roller skate to the ring. The team won the WWF tag titles once. She managed the team for a surprisingly long time without actually having her own WWE debut match. She has actually got a couple of years experience on the indies, but nonetheless she still waits for an entire year for her first WWE match. So we're off to March 2008 for this one. Match 1, SmackDown, WrestleMania Wet and Wild Water Fight. Well, let's hope her personality shines through it because this isn't going to be a match for wrestling skill. Maurice teams up with Victoria, who's a stupid scuba diver. They take on the team of Michelle McCool and Cherry. Cherry seems like a cute girl, very reserved and scared. Do I really have to call this match? We start with a water balloon fight, which Cherry hurls across the ring with authority. She misses a powerfully aimed shot of Victoria. She then gets confused as everyone seems to be ignoring her. Cherry is not very good at throwing water balloons, sadly. She's making this crowd wet. She picks up the Super Soaker instead. Remember when WWE was always sponsored by Super Soakers? She unleashes a powerful spray of water at Maurice. Cherry is the driest girl in the ring. Victoria tries to throw a bucket of water at her but fails and falls over. She seems absolutely shocked to be in this barbaric environment. Michelle McCool almost nails her with an actual water gun. Maurice grabs a hold of Cherry for Victoria to dunk, but she misses. The crowd are actually chanting Cherry. She gets Maurice out of the ring as Michelle beats Victoria with the Wings of Love. I've called a lot of strange matches, and this was certainly one of them. Cherry is the driest girl left. In fact, it looks like she barely had this match. Is she aquaphobic? I don't bloody know. A D? Shut up or I'll smack you one. Match 2, SmackDown, Cherry, with her funny music. She doesn't look like she's dressed to fight. She dresses a bit like a depressed mum who's pushed out too many kids. There's still something endearing about her though. She takes on Victoria. Victoria offers her the first slap for free, but in a heel move, she shoves Cherry over. She moves on to do a headlock takeover and screams, "Where's Deuce and Domino?" More on them later. Victoria takes down with a snap mirror and a shoulder block. She's just having a good old time in there. Cherry starts crying at the beating. Victoria tells her that there's no crying in wrestling. Cherry suddenly lands a stunning kick to the gut. She has confidence now, but her next kick is caught and she's smacked down. Victoria misses an attack in the corner and Cherry almost rolls her up. Just a 2. Victoria kicks her in the head now to shut her down. Cherry is locked in the camel clutch and she's held in it for a while as the crowd frantically clap and stamp. Cherry survives that but continues getting thrown around the ring. Victoria starts hitting shoulders in the corner and she does a scoop slam. Eventually Victoria gets distracted by Michelle McCool and Cherry simply rolls up Victoria. Not gonna lie, this music is making me smile uncontrollably. This stupid music and a poodle hair and a surprised face, and I don't know what I'm watching here. That sure brings a tear to your ass. It's a D for character work and nothing else. Match 3, Cherry, who has now found some ring gear and she takes on Natalya with Victoria. Natalya quickly goes behind and drops her to the mat. She hits a snap suplex as Cherry dumps in her roller skates with fear. Cherry survives a sleeper but gets clotheslined in the back of the head. Natalya hits some scoop slams. Cherry kicks out at 1. Natty starts slapping her now and calling her pathetic. This fires Cherry up, who throws slaps desperately. She could just see her future on Ring of the Hawk slipping away by the second. Natalya boots her legs out as she starts thinking about the sharpshooter. She locks on a different submission instead, but still can't make Cherry tap. Suddenly, Cherry dodges an attack and rolls up Natalya for a 1. She isn't done though and she hits a bulldog for another 1. She tries something in the corner but gets thrown to the mat. Natalya does an evil cackle and she locks on the sharpshooter and that's all she wrote. This is not good so far, but I think that's a gimmick. Not really sure, it's another D. Match 4, Backlash 2008, 12 Women's Tag. Phoenix beats Ashley with a suplex. It's an S. Match 5, Raw, 12 Women's Tag, Backlash rematch. As the heels come down the ramp, I had the thought, that is a group you sure wouldn't want to bump into in a dark alley. Cherry is back to wearing her failed mum's attire. Don't you just love these multi-women matches from this period where half the girls are never even tagged in? By the way, Mickie James beats Jillian in the most pointless match ever. It's an S. Match 6, SmackDown. Natalya and Victoria versus Cherry and Michelle McCool. Apparently, this one's happening because Michelle McCool was the most searched for person on Yahoo, and everyone's jealous. Man, she was ahead of her time. She'd be rolling in it nowadays. Cherry isn't involved for ages, until she randomly cross-bodies into the ring on Victoria for a 2. Then Cherry bounces off the ropes into a roll-up for another 2. She takes out Natalya, but soon pays for that. That somehow gets Victoria a 2 count. Natty joins the match, and Michelle looks concerned. Cherry starts a fight back in the heel corner, but she isn't small enough to crawl through Natty's legs. Or maybe Natty's legs were too big. Who cares, the tag is eventually made. She shouldn't have bothered because she gets pushed off the top by Victoria and Natty gets the 3. This is extremely slow progression, but she seems to be doing a little bit more each match. It's still just a D though. Match 7, SmackDown. Cherry. Cherry baby, you will be alright. Cherry baby, please don't fight. Cherry baby, hit you with a brick I might. Enough of that. Versus Maurice with Deuce and Domino. What a terrible fitting group this is. This one's personal. It's a storyline I have zero recollection of, but basically Deuce and Domino dumped Cherry and replaced her with Maurice. Which is pretty harsh considering Cherry was the storyline sister of one of them. Lots of bullying going on in this video. Maurice carries on bullying her and shoving her around the ring. Cherry fights back with some Mike Tyson-esque jabs. She does manage to hit a net breaker for a 1 count. She then ducks a clothesline and does a roll up for another 1. Maurice shuts her down for drop toe hold. She slowly beats up Cherry for a while. After ages, Cherry blocks a punch and hits a bulldog for the 3. Deuce and Domino look shocked. I'm in shock too. This is appalling. It's a D just because she is slowly improving at a snail's pace. Match 8, SmackDown. Mixed 6-person tag. Jesse, Festus and Cherry. Cherry is scared of Festus as they're compared to of mice and men. They take on Deuce, Domino and Maurice. So many banger theme songs in this episode. What a period to be alive. The bell rings and Festus dumps in his nappy of rage and Luke Gallows truly is the man here. Nothing's happening. God, just make this a men's tag. This is pointless. Finally, the girls do get the tag and the crowd wake up. Cherry hits a monkey flip on Maurice. She also throws her face into the mat. Unfortunately, she botches her bulldog, but the pin is broken up anyway. The match breaks down and Festus kicks Deuce into Cherry. Maurice kicks her in the head and she falls over too. That's the 3. Why is everyone falling over? Why is this music both depressing and happy at the same time? Why are we getting so many slow motion replays of Cherry getting kicked to this music? Why is everyone in silence? Tell me why the Hawk could possibly give this anything else other than an S. Match 9. Star on a pole match. Kelly versus Layla versus Maurice versus Cherry versus Natalya versus Victoria versus Michelle McCool. Cherry fails on throwing Maurice out of the ring. She desperately starts reaching for the stars, but her arms are too short, and Victoria shoves her out of the ring. And that is literally her entire involvement, as Natalya is the first to succeed in achieving her golden dreams. It's an S. Match 10, SmackDown. Maurice versus Cherry. I guess it's the grudge match. Honestly, it's worth pointing out that she's getting a nice little pop when she makes her way out. Cherry takes Maurice down with a Luther's press. Maurice blocks her next attack and viciously drives her into the turnbuckle pads. Cherry double legs her and we've got a real slugfest on our hands here. Cherry rubs her face in the mat. Maurice tries to get some sympathy, which doesn't work as Cherry clotheslines her. Maurice moves on to boot her leg out and hits a leg drop the Hulkster would be proud of. She moves on to work her cravat for a bit. Cherry survives that and they continue scrambling around the ring, doing not a lot. Maurice reverses the bulldog into a roll-up for a 2. Cherry then catches her kick and randomly hits a double arm DDT for the 3. She bounces up and down with happiness. Oh, Cherry baby is alright, but is Maurice okay? It's a D, I don't know, I don't have much to work with here. Match 11, 6 women's tag. Kelly, Michelle McCool and no one else gets an entrance, but they team up with Cherry to take on Maurice, Natalya and Victoria. Cherry joins this one against Victoria. Mick Foley keeps accidentally calling her Cherry. She hits a bulldog for a 2. Cherry tags out. She's gone for an incredible amount of time, which is incredible in itself considering this match is only 3 minutes long, but she returns against Maurice. She throws powerful clotheslines and plants Maurice with a neckbreaker, just a 2. Cherry then charges like a stallion into the corner to mount Maurice for punches, but Natalya cheats and shoves her down. The match breaks down and Maurice beats Cherry with a simple roll-up. It's an S. Match 12. No, I don't want to watch another star on a pole match. Michelle McCool versus Victoria versus Cherry versus Maurice versus Kelly. Cherry frantically scrambles to stop Victoria from grabbing the star. She is rapid. Randomly, Cherry hits a middle rope suplex. I wasn't expecting that. She also works with Kelly to give Maurice a double electric chair drop. She spears Michelle off the apron and looks in shock. Now Kelly and Cherry both take turns climbing. She double legs Kelly and catapults her into the corner. Cherry still can't climb though because Victoria returns and hits with a slingshot leg drop. Michelle McCool ends up winning this one. This was probably Cherry's best showing. I actually thought she was going to win it for a second there. It's a C. Match 13, tag match. Maurice and Natalya versus Michelle McCool and Cherry. Our girl joins against Maurice with some arm ringers. She also hits a neck snapper for little to no effect. Maurice dumps in her thong with fear and runs away and tags out. Natalya gets a snapmare and Cherry runs through her for a 1 count. Cherry's crossbody is caught though and Natalya scoop slams her against the ropes. She has the chance to tag out but unwisely tries a knee drop instead, which misses, and Natalya puts on the sharpshooter for a quick tap out victory. God damn it, this is basic and bad. Match 14, Natalya versus Cherry. Natalya throws her face into the match straight away and covers her in rose petals. Natalya puts on an extra sexy sharpshooter for the tap out win. It's an S. Match 15, straight after that match, Vicky Guerrero versus Cherry. Vicky pins Cherry straight away, even though no damage has been done to her. Give me a break, this entire segment was a disgrace. Cherry didn't deserve that. I felt sorry for our girl here. Match 16, final match. Yeah, the writing was on the wall after losing to Vicky Guerrero. 6 women's tag, Maurice, Victoria and Natalya versus McCool, Cherry, who's still somehow getting a good crowd reaction, and Maria Kanellis. Without a tag, Cherry just comes into this one and she plants the hell out of Natalya with a DDT. Victoria instantly grabs her and hits a widow's peak. Natalya, obviously not too hurt by Cherry's DDT, wins a short and pointless match with the sharpshooter. It's an S, game over. Cherry retired from the wrestling business, but she remains good friends with Natalya. And to be honest, she seemed like a good old-fashioned chick. But that run was obviously not that great. It wasn't the right era to expect to see a 5-star women's match. Some of these matches Cherry barely even moved in, it was that bad. I think her character was pretty good. It was a bit jarring to see a shy and reserved girl in this environment of confident divas, but Cherry had the girl next door vibes to her. Problem is, all the other girls were either strong or they were sexy. Cherry kind of broke that mold. While she was cute, she wasn't just there to be eye candy. I would have liked to have seen a bit more from her, but the Hawk can only grade what he saw in front of him. I was tempted to shove her in the zone, but she's going to miss out by the skin of her cherries. So she will get a D for character work and the fact that the fans actually did seem to like her. The Hawk ain't no greaser, but if you don't agree with that, I'll fold your girl in half and I'll crease her.